I thought there would be a cue, like,
That was the cue.
Oh.
And action.
Hey guys, welcome to the Hippie Dippy Show. I'm one of your hosts, Cassidy Bowker.
And I'm Bo Bowker.
And I'm Jeffrey J.
You guys are supposed to get real close to the camera when you do that. That's what I did.
You are. There we go.
Okay. We also have people listening on podcast sites.
Yeah.
I don't know what to call them. Channels? Mediums?
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Podcast mediums. Yeah, we're on iTunes now, and hopefully you'll find us on Stitcher very shortly.
Yeah, so if you like our words but hate our faces, that's what you do. And there is another Hippie Dippy show, but they spell it wrong.
Yes.
Spell it Hippie.
Yeah, screw those guys.
Spell hippie. Hippie. If you spell it Hippy, that just means a pear-shaped woman. Like, what's it? So it is hippie. Oh, that's like what my grandmother would say.
Yeah.
She's got a cute figure, but her friend is hippie.
Excuse me, I think that's quite a compliment. I would love to be a little hippier.
To be hippish.
Hippish.
My grandma didn't live in the time of Kim Kardashian. She lived when hips were out.
This is when they did those little shaker doodle things where they put those little straps around them and they worked out to try and get rid of their hips.
Oh, yeah. Pee Wee Herman had one of those in his playhouse. Yeah. People thought that it's like the shake weight, but for your whole body.
Yeah.
And you just put a belt around you and this thing just vibrated you.
So fun fact, and we'll get into this in another episode, my parents, it's not the one with the strap, but it's the one that you stand on. My parents have one. It's called the shaker doodle is what they call it. It's got a real official name, but apparently it's really good for you for a million reasons. So in another episode, we'll get into the fact that my parents have the shaky machine.
The shaker doodle.
And it's supposed to be really good for you.
That is really weird.
Yep.
I believe that. Welcome, you guys. Thank you guys to everybody who's been tuning in on YouTube and now listening on iTunes and wherever podcasts are downloaded for free. So choose whatever medium you guys like and keep sending us comments. We'd love to hear them. They're so cool. People really got something from the last episode. I don't know what.
Yeah, what happened, you guys? Lots of emotional messages. One of our listeners, Jamie, she wrote in and she said that she was quote unquote shook.
Yeah.
That's what cool kids say. So I feel pretty good. Like when I heard that, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. What does it? That Jeff, you know what that means, right?
Yeah, I think shook is like, oh, it shocked me to my core, like I was shook.
Yeah.
Which to me, even though it's a kid slang type thing, I feel like it's powerful.
Oh, it is. It is. I know that much. I know.
Yeah.
Powerful. Yeah. It means it means shook, like emotionally struck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's neat. And then didn't your mom say something?
Yeah, she said she got emotional and so she had to she's like, I didn't want to finish listening to it in the car. And so I haven't really gotten a chance to ask her why she was emotional. And I was, when you try and think about on the episode, it's like, what did we say that meant things?
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the reasons why we like to hear from you guys and to find out what is striking a chord with you guys. What do you guys appreciate about us? No, what are you taking from the show? Because this is very therapeutic. I'll say for myself. I think for you guys too. Mm-hmm. And our hope is that it strikes something within the listeners and viewers. And if not, okay, 'cause I'm doing free therapy.
Yeah, I'm interested. If someone does hit you, give us a little note that says why so that we can, revisit that and make you cry more than once.
Yeah, we just want tears.
Yeah, and in your transparency, in your vulnerability, I know we had another listener write in,
Louise.
He brought up
all right, so he made a comment on the YouTube page, channel. I'm so old. I know. He left a comment saying that the show picks him up when he's feeling down and gives him some laughs too, which is so cool.
Yeah.
I didn't even know we're that funny. That's great. And he appreciates what Cassidy brings. It's nice. Good for you, Cassidy.
But read on.
And he says, and he relates to what we talk about, Cassidy and I, in terms of our relationship.
Yeah.
And some of our communication and the way that we deal with things and work through things, some of our transparency, I guess. And he said that he's having a little bit of a rough patch his own self. And my advice on that is send her to the show, man. Have her listen too. Maybe that would be helpful. I don't know. Seriously, if they listen together, that could be a conversation starter. Sometimes that's good. It's like when you're into something like weird sexually and you're like, oh my God, look at this video. What do you think about what they're doing? You hate it? Yeah, me too. Yeah, those people should be in therapy. Yeah, gross.
That's the way you do need to approach it, though. The same way you do, like, with a sex thing. Because when you try and force someone into, like, hey, I love this show, watch it, they're immediately like, no, that's your thing, and you're trying to convince me of it. You have to just, like, put it on in the background. It's like maybe while you're making love. And, like, whoa, that was a good point. And she's happy, you're happy. And maybe that's a way to ease it in.
Yeah, that's right. What do you think?
Cassidy's.
You guys, I mean, if it's just you two having a podcast about advice, I wonder what the world would look like.
We had one.
yeah, we did. That's why we're all in quarantine now, basically. Whatever we did in this universe led to this. Helps lead to COVID-19.
Okay, listen, but all jokes aside, I do want to say that a quote unquote rough patch is yes, that's a really difficult place to be, and thank you for being honest about that, Luis.
Yes.
Like I was mentioning on the last episode, I think I was saying that I was excited by that argument because that meant that there was an opportunity for growth between us. And
yes, yeah, that's a good point.
So I'm sorry to just shift from hilarity to seriousness.
No, that's what we're doing on this show.
But I got me here a champagne flute full of kombucha, and I'm ready to get to the real stuff.
Yeah. Ooh, cheers. I've got a giant wine glass as big as my head filled with seltzer water.
Whoa, Jeffrey J has a seltzer water.
This is actually a normal-sized wine glass. I'm just...
It's just tiny. Mug. From a mug, if anybody cares.
Boston.
That's a beer. That's a beer.
Yeah, that's a Stein.
Stein?
Yeah.
Look at you.
Wow, you guys. Look
at
yes, but none of us are drinking alcohol. We're all just drinking water.
I know, this is
seltzer water and kombucha.
Kombuchers.
I'm not into it. I don't like kombucha.
Well, we will get into that. My mother will scold you properly when we get into that episode. She makes her own, and it's...
Oh, really?
Yeah, it'll be a fun topic when we get to talk with my Hippie Dippy mother.
I like that. That's the thing. There's so many topics that we're so excited to talk about that, like, we have like this list of things, and there's all these things where it's like, oh, I can't wait till we get to that episode, and or things will come up, and I'm like, oh yeah, we should do something on like the afterlife, like what we think happens, in the afterlife.
Yeah.
I got a great book recommendation for stuff like that, and so I look forward to talking about that. And if anybody out there wants to send us what they think happens to you when you die and things like that, send it to us, man. HippieDippyShow@gmail.com or hit us up on Instagram @HippieDippyShow.
All right. And what's today's? Oh, wait. We need to do a touch-in.
Everybody, let's touch in. All right.
Do you want to touch? Do you want to touch? Do you want to touch me there?
Yeah.
You know that song?
No.
Oh, is that how it goes?
I love that song.
Jet, right?
Is that a real song?
Yeah. It's a good song,
Who's
too.
that?
Joan Jett.
Joan Jett sucks so bad.
I love her. I saw her.
Wow, our
Go
first
ahead.
divisive topic. Everything so far we've said has been
I
just
know.
everybody agrees with.
I
But
know.
the Joan Jett topic is what's going to pull our fans apart.
That's right. Here I come with the judgment. I'm not going to get into my feelings on Joan Jett. But so here's the part of the show where we touch in to ourselves. And the way I like to do it, put my hand in my heart. If you guys are listening, which you are, or else none of this matters, then yeah, just close down your eyes and take a deep breath. It's good if you put your hand over your heart space and just take a couple more breaths and see what is happening inside. What the hell is so funny? You guys,
I'm so sorry. You,
Sorry.
what'd you do?
we almost
doing
got
jerk off
away with it.
motions?
We almost got away with it, and then
Let me also explain again to everybody that this is also a podcast and they can't see that you guys are doing hand job stuff. Is that what you did?
This is a treat. This is a treat just for the people who watch us.
And what did you do? Hand job motions?
No, I put my hand over your heart for
Yep.
you. And then I moved it lower and lower and lower.
At first it was very sweet, and then it was so funny I had to flip my mic up so that you didn't hear me laugh, and then she ruined it by laughing through it because we almost got away with it.
You people.
All right, let's touch
And
it.
touch it though. We're waiting for. I'm
Grab
sorry.
your partner, grab your roommate and collect their hand and place it.
Hey,
Uh,
we love you so much, Bo, and our silliness had nothing to do with our want to touch it with you.
You named it a touch it. A touch in.
Isn't that a touch it?
It's so
Touch
close.
it.
It's so getting so upset. It's not a touch it. It's a touch it.
A touch it.
It's a touch in. All right. Yeah.
All right.
Name it. What do you want to rename
No,
it?
no.
No, we love it. We love it.
Touch it.
And we're ready. We're
Bunch
ready.
of pervs. Perverts. All right. The point is, if you guys are at home,
Yeah.
or wherever you are, probably at home, quarantine, you know,
Yeah.
close down your eyes, take a deep breath, hand over your heart, and it's just a good opportunity for you to go within and just see what comes up, see what's happening, and take a pause out of your day and touch base with yourself and allow yourself to feel whatever it is, good, bad, indifferent, however you choose to label it, whatever it is. Just be honest with yourself and take stock of it. That way you can process it and release it. But just allow yourself to be and know that wherever you are, whatever you're feeling, it's only temporary, it's okay, and you have a choice, right?
What was that?
Sorry.
I
was thinking of the hand job stuff. I don't know what's wrong with me.
This is the one time you think about hand job stuff when it do me no good.
When you're
Sorry, just got hand jobs on my mind.
I'm sorry.
It's just now you're gonna have to do pretend podcasts in the bedroom to get Cassidy in the mood.
Yeah, that's what gets her into.
That's funny.
That's what she's
Hands.
into.
All
So
right. I feel like it's Cassidy. I feel like you're gonna touch in first.
Yeah.
You go first, please.
Okay. Hand over my heart.
Okay.
One eye open. So honestly, today I'm touching into this creative freedom, I think, and this I don't know, spiritual flexibility. I had like a really beautiful session last night with a client. And I truly believe that, as healers, as guides, whatever you want to call it, space holders, what we offer our clients is also for us. So any messages they receive is just an echo, a mirror for ourselves. So she had this very liberating experience where she was breaking down some chains of resistance. And just feeling called toward transformation and openness and playfulness. And she had this visitation from her inner child and maybe a past life as well. And so long story short, this kind of segues into our theme of today, is that was a breathwork session. And breathwork is one of the most powerful tools that I believe in, and have experienced tremendous breakthroughs with, that I'm really excited to talk about. And so with that, I'm tapping into some freedom, some playfulness. And that's why I feel like she's silly. And that's why I'm joking about hand job stuff.
That's good. No, I don't have a problem with hand jobs. No, I appreciate it. I'm happy about your silliness. It's fun to see. Sometimes, you get a little busy minded and things like that. So I always love seeing you laugh and be free and being fully present and silly. That's one of my favorite things to be and to witness. And yeah, it's fun. I love it. Jeffrey, what's coming up for you?
Okay. Give me just a second. I'm just going to take a little breath. Make sure nothing surprises me. Or it does, I guess. No, okay. I was trying to make sure that I wasn't, like, pushing anything down or anything. Oh, sorry. Let me do this again.
Don't be sorry.
Let me take, like, a surprise hand to go and do hand job motions on me.
We did it for you, Jeffrey.
Oh, did you? Oh, good. I was feeling left out. You did it for me. I'm feeling so much gratitude right now, and I just wanted to make sure I wasn't pushing aside anything, because I've been feeling a lot of stress and fear and intense everything lately. So it's been really, really difficult. But right in this moment, I don't feel any of that. So my current touch-in is beautiful because I am so grateful for the silliness. Too, I mean, it's so fun to get on here when we're all in this space where it just feels silly and wonderful and like we're just hanging out.
Yeah.
So I'm touching into gratitude and enjoyment of all the silliness.
Awesome. Love that, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
My turn. Keep your hands to yourself, grossies.
Hands up. She's using her feet now. Sorry, Bo. Okay.
I think for me, not I think, but what's coming up for me is just joy. I've been really focusing on joy lately with being around my children. There are so many scary things talked about in the news and in conversations, depending on who you talk to in your own personal life, and yeah, there's some scary stuff being bantied about out there. And so, as I've said many times before, when that stuff starts coming up for me, and I start going to those places of like, oh God, what if? Oh no, how do I do this? Whoa, stuff like that. Then I just try to bring myself back to the present moment, and nothing does that more fluidly than just being with my kids and just watching them. Children will show you the way, yeah, they will show you the way and just lead you to joy, because they don't care. They don't care about anything. They're not worried about anything.
No.
It's beautiful. And this is going to sound probably sort of morbid. Yeah, maybe very morbid. But Cassidy, if I may, the other night, she started getting into a sort of worry spiral.
Yep.
With everything related to coronavirus and all that sort of stuff, and quarantine and blah blah blah, and how serious is it? How worried should we be? All this sort of stuff. And one thought that I have is when I think about my kids and how they are and how unaffected they are by the worry and things like that, because they are, along with Cassidy, are my number one priority, and I feel that one of my jobs or roles is as protector, and so one thing that I said to Cassidy was, okay, so let's say we all are going to die in a week, right?
Sure.
What are you going to do differently? And whatever that answer is, just do it now. You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, I just want to be more focused on love or on the kids or whatever.
More present.
Yeah. Well, then just start doing it. I mean, what it boils down to is like live each day like it's your last. And I think that's why this is such an amazing time for many people, as scary as it is. I'm not discounting that, but I see and I hear so many people that are transforming, and maybe they don't even realize it, but I see all these people, like one of my best friends, Rachel. She's like, yeah, I'm painting a shit ton. Like she's gone back to painting. She's been talking about going back to painting for years, and she's doing these creative things that are within her. Everybody I know is doing something creative, and people are just shedding the bullshit and living more presently. And if that's part of what comes out of this, then it's a tough cost, certainly, but for those of us who carry on, then what a gift in that way, and yeah, so I'm just in joy right now, and yeah.
I want to bring up one other thing that you mentioned in that conversation when, yes, I was having this spiral of like ego and panic, fear. You brought up the topic of forecasting. So you were saying, okay, so you want to go down that road, you want to forecast all the bad things to happen. We could just, veer off and forecast the opposite direction, all the positive things to happen. We don't know either way. We don't know because we're forecasting, because we're predicting. We're jumping into the future. So all you have is right now. You don't have yesterday anymore. All you have is here and now.
Yeah. So don't save the hand jobs for the podcast. Do them right when they come into your brain.
You guys, if you take only one thing away today, it's just get as many hand jobs as you can.
And send us your pics.
Oh, come on, Cass. Jesus criminy.
Tell us how your hand jobs made you cry.
Oh, no.
Tell us.
I'm sorry.
Give yourself an emotional hand job.
It's so much better. We've never had a girl on our podcast before, and she can get away with so much.
I know.
And
I just wish she wasn't my wife.
That makes it better. It really does.
I know.
She can ask for so many things, and it's just inherently not creepy. She's a married mother.
Yeah. If you think hand jobs are sexual, you're the gross one.
That was a wonderful touch-in.
Thanks, man. Good job, everybody. Good job, everybody at home touching in.
Yay!
Yay! No, it's just a good exercise, and just a good thing to do once a day, and see where you're at now.
So, okay, since we're going down hypothetical streets.
Oh boy.
So we did this touch-in, and I am assuming that some of you did that with us too. And what if you didn't? What if you set that aside, and maybe you set that aside every time? Maybe you just sit and sit back and listen, to what we're touching into, and that might resonate with you and provide something for you in your own way, but it's just cultivating this habit of checking in with your body, checking in with your emotion, checking in with a higher state of consciousness and also an ego mind, because they differ. And why? Because have you looked at the statistics? Anxiety is the most common mental health disorder that's happening right here and right now. It's the top of the charts. It's the highest it's ever been. More people are on antidepressant, anti-anxiety medications than they ever have been. And why? Why? Because they're so busy.
Yeah, these statistics are giving me anxiety.
Yeah, that's how they get you. It's a real slippery slope.
I'm like, we're going to run out of those pills, and I don't need them now, but what if I do need them? I better plan ahead for if I do need those pills.
But yes, things like this do help with anxiety. Obviously, if you have like severe disorder and things like that, then, you know, yes, you'll also need like professional help and things. This show will probably not cure you. But these things do help.
Yeah, and I don't mean to like degrade anybody or criticize anybody. I myself, I know for a fact, deal with anxiety on a regular basis.
Yeah.
You deal with anxiety as well. Jeffrey J, I know that you deal with anxiety too, especially after having 2 babies at one time. I had major anxiety. It's inevitable in today's society. We have so much going on that our mind gets on this, hamster wheel of, I got to do more. I got to do things. And so we suppress our emotions. We suppress grief. We suppress fear. Or maybe that fear is so active, or the grief is so active, grieving from trauma. There's all kinds of things that you could be experiencing. And do you take enough time to sit, to cry, to journal, to release, to assess, to talk to a therapist, to seek help from a doctor, maybe to try out a medication? All of those things are necessary. I think it's when we put all of our eggs in one basket and expect that medication to be the, resolve. That's it.
Yeah.
I was reading this book. It's The 7 Spiritual Laws of Yoga by Deepak Chopra, and I forget the other gentleman or woman. I'm not sure. But basically, they're talking about the physical plane. Okay, so in the physical plane, there are 3 aspects of the physical plane. There is the environment. There's like the flesh body, right? All of our organs, our bones, our muscle system, etc. And then energy. So our environment, if you can picture like an infinity symbol, is in constant communication with our physical form, and our physical form is in a constant communication and conversation with the environment. So they were implying, one guru was implying, that the emotions that we are experiencing are not organic. Because, for example, the love that I'm experiencing right now, that comes from my relationship with Bo. Now, take out that relationship with Bo, and maybe I have a different partner, but that love is not the same. It's not. I can look at past relationships and I experienced a version of love, but it is not this. This is totally different. And then they want you to look at, for example, health conditions, right? So your blood pressure is through the roof. And why? Oh, well, because your body's not functioning properly, of course. So here's your blood pressure medication with all of these side effects. Let's not take a look at your work environment, your boss who's always on your case and pushing you and hounding you to do more, do more, do more. You're not doing enough.
Right.
Let's look at, okay, maybe I'm feeling depressed and I see my doctor and he gives me a medication and that's supposed to be the answer, but I'm still in the same relationship where my partner's been cheating on me for God knows how long, or abusing me in some type of way. Our environment has a direct correlation with our physical form, or physical form with our environment. But the problem is is that we have a choice and we don't realize that there's more to us than just this body. And we're forgetting our individual sovereignty, our power over our being, our breath that can detoxify and purify and release and address things even from years past. In our breath connection, in our energy, in that third layer, we are connected to something beyond, something that exists beyond just this physical form. Our energy is just sort of encapsulated, and that's only what we can see with our eyes, right? There are tons of other studies out there that can see energy fields radiating off of people.
Yeah.
There are talks of auras, right?
Yeah.
Sending energy work, Reiki.
So I have a question. Is that saying that breath is something that combines all three of those planes, is physical, environmental, and energy? Is that where that's connecting, or am I misreading, or?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. Even if you take a look at the practice of Kundalini yoga, they use these pranayama, these breath techniques to move energy through the chakra system. Yeah, I think that is sort of like the limbo of spirit and body through the breath.
Well, yes, in some, I forget which language, one of these languages out there, like the word for breath actually means spirit.
Ooh,
like, and
yeah,
so
that's Scottish.
So David Elliott, who was Cassidy's teacher for learning breath work, he has his own brand essentially of breath work. Is that fair to say?
Or style.
Style, sure. And he teaches this method of breath work. And he talks about that and how that's kind of how he looks at the breath is as spirit. You're letting in spirit, and or and call it whatever you want, God, essence, yeah, life force, whatever. Yeah. And I was introduced to breath work from through Cassidy, and she was introduced from one of my friends from childhood. I didn't even know she did this. Jenna Reese, and she taught Cassidy. Well, she didn't teach, but she guided Cassidy through breath work.
Right.
And so Cassidy went and studied with David Elliott, and now she facilitates breath work. That's, like she said, that's what she did last night for somebody, and it's wild. Like, it's freaking crazy. Like, can you tell us?
Yeah.
Basically, what a breathwork session looks like from start to finish.
Can I say I know, and I like to think I'm a person who looks up all sorts of shit, especially meditation practices. Saying that I do it all the time is not a thing, but I love looking into all this stuff.
Right.
Zero clue. Like, no knowledge at all about what breathwork is. What I'm imagining in my head is if I'm giving you like what I'm really imagining is that you go, because I've seen you go into a room and you do a breathwork session on your laptop because you're in quarantine. What I'm picturing is sitting down in front of a laptop and like getting a really deep connection with someone and just them guiding you through deep breathing and just weeping. And I don't mean any of this in a bad way, but in my mind, it looks like something I would love and something that would look absolutely batshit insane crazy.
Oh, for sure.
Like laughter yoga crazy. Like, I don't know if you've seen laughter yoga, which is.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and it's really great for you, and you look like the most insane, batshit crazy person.
Yeah.
Which I'm okay with, but like, just is what I imagine breathwork is.
Yeah.
Would you say that's pretty accurate?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So, but what exactly does it look like? What's the process?
Okay, so basically, breath work, right? There are many different types. Everybody has their way, right? Their style, their take. Transformational breath work, holotropic breath work. You know, the list goes on and on. The breath work that I studied in and have experienced myself is beautifully healing. You know, it can be as gentle or as intense as you would like it to be. And you are your own healer. You basically have a guide, a sitter, somebody who's with you, holding space for you. And that person, because they are trained, right, in this sense, is more connected to their intuition. And we all have the potential to access that intuition. I believe that on a personal level. David Elliott believes that as well. So basically, you lie down flat. You're lying down flat, and this is a two-part breath. So you breathe in through the belly, through the mouth. Okay, so through the mouth to your belly, and then to the chest, and then out the mouth. In through the belly, in through the chest, and out the mouth.
We're not suggesting to do this right now.
So I just want to give you a little sample of the flow, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's at your own pace, and it's nothing crazy. You're not hyperventilating. Okay, this is not what we're doing.
Right.
How deep do you go? You try and hit that limit?
No, you don't have to try anything. You're just showing up. You're just showing up and listening to your body. And so when your eyes are closed, when you're lying down and you're really shifting your attention inward, your body will tell you. You know, there are times when I breathe faster just because I feel called to breathe faster. My body's telling me to breathe faster. There's times when I slow down my breath, you know, because there's some things that can happen. We can get into that in a second. As a result of this, you know, faster paced breath. So in this faster paced breath, basically you're hyperoxygenating your body. You're releasing a lot more CO2, some carbon dioxide. Okay, you're releasing a lot of that. And in that release, you can experience tetany, so like cramping of your hands. You get these lobster claws. It can happen. You get this vibrating sensation, and then there are releases of chemicals. So in some tests,
mostly pee and poop. Those are the chemicals.
Have you ever gotten lobster claws?
Almost every time. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'll tell you my experience when Cassidy is finished explaining. I will tell you my experience. Yeah. Go ahead, Cass.
So there was a study and they looked at an EEG. This is like a graph, basically a test of the brain.
What's firing in your brain?
Yeah. So what parts of the brain chemically and whatnot. And the experience during breath work was similar to that of hallucinogenics, of like a person tripping on LSD. So you're able to do this. And so
now we're in.
This is what I love about it so much, right? I don't have to take a drug to be able to access these other parts of my mind, other parts of my being, stored energies, right? Because over time, over our life, we just compartmentalize different things. And because healing is not linear, because there are different things throughout our life that will trigger us, and we might not even be aware of that. We were talking about that last week. Usually what we're upset about is not there in that moment. It's a triggering from something that happened in the past, maybe a pressure cooker mentality. And this is what we're trying to avoid. If you over time never identify or address any of these traumas, any of this, it doesn't even have to be like a physical trauma, right? It could just be maybe destructive thinking or thought pattern that you have inherited from your mom and your dad or whoever raised you. Things like autoimmune disorders, okay? And we don't know the cause of these autoimmune disorders of cancer. We don't have access to that right now. All we have are studies, right? And so what we've seen are people when asked, you know, for example, I'll take my mom. My mom was just recently diagnosed with lupus. She has an autoimmune condition disorder. Um, Technically, they say that her body is attacking her body. It's confused. She has this heightened level of cortisol in her body. Her blood pressure is through the roof. Again, she's on all types of medications. But mom, I'm going to talk about this right now. It's true. She does all the work that she can do for herself. She's studying, she's meditating, she's breathing, she's napping, she's reading, she's trying to process and digest different aspects of her being. But there are still more tools that she could access if she so chooses. Would it help her? We don't know. Maybe we could use her as a test subject.
It's a good idea. Well, and to that point too, I want to say there are things that you go through, trauma and things like that, or just emotional issues like that. And I'm speaking now from personal experience, where I figured out things in therapy. I've been going to therapy for 10 years. You both know how much I love therapy. There are things that I've identified in therapy over the last couple of years, and I'm like, okay, let me figure this out with my brain. I always use my brain, right? Let me analyze, let me figure this out. I'm so good at that, at breaking things down, tearing them apart, and figuring out where we went wrong and blah, 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 right? But there is stuff that you can't figure out with your mind, that you can't heal with talking, that you can't heal by thinking about it. And I never understood that until recently. And part of that came through breathwork, where there's shit in my body that is locked in there that I don't even know about. And even my therapist, I would say, well, okay, so I don't love myself enough. Where did that come from? She's like, who cares? Who cares? Because it happened. It could have been when I was in the womb. It could have been when I was 3 months old. God knows where it came from. But it's in there and it's locked in there, and it can manifest in physical ways in your body. And I firmly believe that. And I've been doing a lot of discovery with my own body lately, not hand job stuff, but still, but like discovery of like, oh, my dad was in a skilled nursing facility. So not out in the world, not really calling on me and not in my daily life as much for like a month. And I've been doing a lot of healing work and stuff like that. And my body's never felt better. My dad came out of the skilled nursing facility this week. I was very nervous about that. And like, it makes me anxious. This idea has made me anxious because he's very demanding. He's very hard on me. And I just had a lot of anxiety. I think it's better for him to be in assisted living right now, given everything that's going on. I don't think he understands the world that he's coming back into.
But your pain came back.
And my pain came back. Like my back started acting up. All these things, and it's my lower back, which is, I've done some studying lately on chakras. You're a lot of people that have issues in their second chakra have lower back pain. A lot of people that have issues in their second chakra have issues with their father. And some, look, you can explain anything away, however you want to look at it. People could say, well, you knew that, so it's psychosomatic. Okay, it's not. It's not. I know the truth about my own body and what's going on. But so my point is, number one, there are things that you can't access with your mind. You can't heal it with your mind. You have to be touched, or you have to breathe through it. You have to get it moving. You have to shift your body and your energy. Breathwork is a great way to do that. I've found, thank God. And then number two is, a lot of this stuff that's going on, going back to Cassidy's point about the 7 spiritual laws of yoga, is that it's circumstantial. Like she's saying, you got high blood pressure. Let's treat your blood pressure. Well, what if you worked less, or if you could, or what if you got out of that toxic relationship? What if you started doing breath work? What if you started journaling? All these other things that can help.
Right. If you're not able to or willing to remove yourself from an environmental experience or situation or circumstance, then how can you better respond to it? And this breath work is a tool to help you better respond to it and understand it.
So tell us more about.
Okay,
So you get us breathing.
So we start the breath in through the belly, in through the heart, out through the mouth. Everything is open mouth. And then it's just kind of like intuitively guided for me what I feel into the energy. I also pair with music. So I believe music is the catalyst. And so again, I intuitively create a playlist. And some songs have words, some songs don't.
Like a real, like you're like on your computer?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like Me So Horny.
Hey, you don't know who you're working with.
On a loop. That'll drive anyone insane.
But what can come up is basically when you're in this state of being where you're not conscious, but you are conscious. You're just totally open and connected, right? You have a clear channel of energy with source, with spirit, with the universe, whatever name you so choose. You have downloads, you receive messages, images come to your mind. Maybe family members that have passed come to you. You might, in the first 5 seconds of breathing, just start crying. You just start crying. And then throughout, I might guide you to laugh. And a silly laugh might turn into a real hysterical belly laugh. And it feels so good. And you needed that laugh. And that's tapping into your inner child. It's so incredible what can come up and the possibility that can come up. Yeah, and then there's a winding down. I'd like to side note, there's sometimes a lot of screaming involved. So when I used to do my breath work sessions with Jenna, my teacher and mentor, I would do it in a closet. We had a walk-in closet, and I would, deck it out to be super cute little space. I'd put like sheets over everything and some candles and some lights, and I close the door, and then I close the door to the bedroom, and I blast on some music so that the babies wouldn't hear me, and I bring a pillow with me, and you put the pillow over your face, you're screaming and you're letting out these different things, and that's the God honest truth, and I encourage, sometimes if you have some children at home and if you're in a small space, you might have to say, mommy is going to be in the other room right now taking care of her body. Like, I haven't had to explain that yet, but
the hand job queen is going in the closet.
I do have friends who are, mothers and fathers to children, and they do have to explain that. I mean, it sounds comical. It is quite hilarious, but it's
try and get them out of the house.
Yeah.
If you can avoid the children, I would recommend it. I mean,
I beg to differ.
It's just the same as like when you have to tell your kids like daddy's not hurting mommy when you're having sexy times,
Oh,
right.
Oh my God.
Well, yeah. Well, I think that you can expose them to whatever you want, but at the same time, it's real traumatic for a 2-year-old to hear their mother.
No. I'm not. Listen, guys. There are smart ways to do this, okay? Yes. I'm not being an idiot.
Oh, no.
Just screaming and like, what the
No, you're not. And also, too, there are some great ways to do it, too, because you can teach kids that it's okay to let out emotions and stuff in a proper way, too. Yeah. Sometimes a child needs to get that out, and if you teach them that they can do it into a pillow with, whatever, and you can teach them to guide them through whatever frustration that I think that's a valuable lesson as well. I'm just picturing you with candles and sheets up, screaming and laughing with lobster claws.
And crying. It's exhausting. It's highly exhausting when you're finished.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's
then,
like a scene out of The Fly.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have this winding down period. I mean, honestly, I don't like to share all this stuff with a client before. I just
Right.
explain basically it's a two-part breath. You will receive release, emotions will arrive and arise. You'll
Okay.
sift through them and hold them in a safe
You
space.
do warn them though that like things will come out, right? Like
Definitely.
you,
I mean, there's a release form that you sign, and I
yeah.
mean, different things that can happen to your body. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
true.
but I mean, like you warn them that like, hey, you're gonna start crying, or you're gonna like, you might laugh or whatever, or or fart or whatever it is that comes out of you is like completely natural, and you shouldn't feel self conscious about it. I mean, you,
Right. Typically, people aren't coming to me with something completely foreign to them.
Mm.
Usually, they've heard about it through a friend, or they've done a little research themselves, or tried it, somewhere. But if they were completely foreign, I think, well, you weren't even really completely foreign because you had heard of my experience, but you did have
A
a lot
little
of
bit, but
questions.
it didn't make a lot of sense to me. I didn't understand it. I think going back to the sort of therapy thing, I think the fact that I've been in therapy is super helpful in that I've laid a lot of groundwork by knowing things consciously. It lays the groundwork to more easily understand or recognize and maybe release and process things. But yeah, I didn't really know. And my first time, going back to your first question, it was interesting when you said about uh, wait, but how deep do I want to go with those breaths? Like my first time, I was just very obsessed with like, okay, but like, am I doing this right?
yeah,
Or like, how
with your
deep
lobster claw.
should these breaths be? Is this going to go back to normal, this lobster claw?
Yeah,
Like, dude, I had no idea. She didn't tell me about lobster claws.
yeah,
Like, and look, and like, if you do one of these breathwork sessions with Cassidy or with anybody else
yeah,
that you guys find, like, I mean, who knows what you're going to experience? Don't judge it. And going back to my point about what you were saying, Jeff,
Yeah.
um, let that go. Let
Yeah.
the perfectionism go. Let the am I doing it right go, because it doesn't matter. You'll
yeah.
get where you need to go. Just be and just let it happen. And yeah, I mean, in my experience, being being led by Cassidy, I've seen a lot of colors. That stuff comes up. Different parts of me seize up, like mostly my hands, um,
Really, this is
and my lips,
fascinating.
which I've learned is about expression. People that have issues with expressing themselves. If you have issues with your some blockage in your throat chakra, like and you feel less, or you don't feel fully expressed, or you hold back, in your communication. My lips will tighten up, or my lips are like this, and I can't. That's what's going on. Just tight little
Weird.
lips. And then I had a bunch of spirit animals came in one time.
What?
Yeah, man, that was wild.
That's awesome.
And I made some incredibly impactful realizations and connections with them, and like family members that are living and family members that have passed. And my last experience, which I will give you the bare bones explanation, but I reserve the right to explain it further on another episode, maybe next week. But I had been going through a lot of grieving of my mom and my brother, um, heading into this new year, and it's been going on for about a year because it's been 10 years since they both passed away.
So
Um,
who has a
Oh,
question?
but this is a recent one. I was
this was in February,
okay.
the beginning of February, or maybe it was in January. Anyways, but and I had been very sick. I had like all these ailments, and speaking of which, like my back was jacked up, and like sinus things, and all this stuff. And I knew that like there was a connection with my family. I knew that something was coming up. And one day I was sitting on the bed and I was so sick of being sick, and I
Yeah.
wanted to figure it out. And I had just made this connection of, wait a minute, my mom died in January because I was sick for like the entire month of January, right? It's like my mom died in January, blah, 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 or in February actually, and was in the process of dying in January. I guess we're all in the process of dying. And so I started like crying really hard, like, and she was like, "You want to do breath work right now?"
I
I'm
said,
like,
let's go right now,
"Let's
lay
do
down.
it." I was like,
Let's do it.
"Okay." And breath work, look, it takes a lot out of me. I've only done it 3 times, like,
Wow.
because it's a big deal, and I love it, and I'm so grateful for it. And this was the most powerful experience I've ever had, maybe in life. Um, she took me into some breath work, and I was just so I was just crying, like the hardest I've ever cried in my life. And very quickly tapped into my brother, who he passed away from kidney and liver failure, and he was an alcoholic, and that's why things went the way that they went. And he was very sick for like 2 years and withered and was miserable, and because of the ammonia coming from his kidneys, like he was kind of out of his mind and things like that, for a portion of it. And I tapped into, I I took on his experience. The way I was crying, it was, they weren't mine. It was how
Like it wasn't Bo's voice anymore.
it sounded the way my brother sounded when he would cry, when he was so sick and in so much pain. And I was like reliving and releasing all this for him, and I felt like I was doing the work on his part, like I was letting this go for him.
So part of what I do is if
Yeah.
I'm noticing that there's something that's really, really coming up for him, I pausing to ask, what's coming up right now, or
Mhm.
where are you feeling this energy in your body? And so he
Mhm.
says, wherever he points to it, what color is it? And then I'm asking him, and I just felt called to ask, is this your energy or is this his?
Yeah.
Is this someone else? Does this belong to you? Does this person want you to take on this energy? Were sort of my questions.
And so the
Yeah.
colors were
Is it
the
a
color.
poltergeist?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it makes you think like, wait, is this kind of like what happens in an exorcism? Like,
Yeah.
honestly, I've thought about it. Like, but so um basically, okay, I'll wrap it up quickly because we got napping children. That's how we're recording. Um, but basically, I asked my brother, do you need me to release this for you? Do you need me to take up this healing for you? And uh, my ego was like, yeah, but I quickly heard my brother say, I got this. And all of a sudden, all the colors that I saw went away, and I just saw like this bright, beautiful yellow, which is the color that he came to me shortly after he passed away in a dream, and his aura, everything around him was just bright yellow, and this color yellow just came over me, and I knew that it was him and that it was the truth, and he didn't need me to do it. And wrapped up in all of this was my son, and I had this relation to my son and my brother, and not wanting my son, being fearful that my son would suffer anything that my brother ever suffered,
Mm.
and that I would suffer anything that my brother ever suffered. And I want to heal that, and avoid that for my son. And my son, who's very intuitive, our son, is very intuitive and empathic, and I would say gifted in ways of this nature. He Shortly thereafter,
That week. Uh-huh.
he started using the phrase, I got this.
Say, I got this, Daddy.
Yeah, anytime I try to like impose or help him too much or butt in or whatever, he'd say, I got this. And that to me also was just a message of just let them be, let my son be, let my brother be, know that they're okay, you know that their experience is their experience. And I'm glad I felt what I felt and dealt with what I dealt with. But I realized that that's what I do too. I take things on for people in
Mm.
my family, and I harbor that stuff, and it hurts me. and it can, because I'm trying to help them, but it's not always what they need. And that was my breath work. That's the shit
Wow.
for me. And I mean, that there's stuff like that where it's like, how was I going to get there in just therapy? Therapy's wonderful.
Yeah.
Right.
I love it so much. I will go back. But to the point I was making about, great to dig stuff up and become aware of it,
Mm.
but there is stuff that locks into you that you have no idea about. And the only way to do it is through breath, energy shifting, and physical touch. Like,
Yeah. And can I say, and two, just in case one of the little ones wakes up or anything, because this is going to be a two-part episode, right?
Yeah.
mm,
Because I just found out, I guess before the episode, that am I getting gift of
Yeah.
being able to do some breath work?
Yeah.
yes.
um, which
Yeah.
is very exciting. And the reason I wanted to bring that up too is because what I got from your story uh, was to make sure that I'm completely open because while you were crying and you were coming into this, I don't. It sounds like you completely didn't expect what you were going to get out of that breath work,
Oh my God,
and
no.
you can't imagine that that's what came out of it, and instead
No.
it was so incredibly, I mean, first of all, beautiful, but you didn't go in expecting that was where it was going to end up. And if you had expected and tried to fight for some sort of a uh, getting somewhere or being like, I'm going to de-stress or I'm going to do this, you wouldn't have gotten there. It was your openness that allowed you to get there. Am I completely?
No, you're totally right. I think in my other two breathwork um, sessions, I did feel like I had a little bit of an agenda or wanted to get to the bottom of something or wanted to heal something
Or that
specific.
I should be a certain way. And I think that's also
Right.
where things start to like, how do I say this? It's kind of like you're not supposed to work with your family, like
Mm,
the like
Mm,
conflict of interest, right? Because
hmm
now as Bo's wife and partner, he's really expecting me to like be nurturing and be this and be
mm,
that, and
mm.
I'm not showing up that way.
Two
Um,
different roles.
yeah,
right.
And also even with somebody that you love and are share so many beautiful things where you know you can be open and embarrassing, there will always still be that bit of like,
totally.
you also still want to impress each other and be sexy to each other. It's hard to do that when you're crying with lobster claws.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
But well, and what I want to say too is like, Cassidy is a master at guiding, and she will, you're in good hands, Jeffrey. She will like set you up for like clearing your mind, you know what I mean, and like letting go of expectations and things like that. And like I was also, well, I guess I've done it 4 times, because the one time I did do it in a group that was led by Cassidy of like 25 people, maybe more. And dude, I've never been so happy for my partner, like, and so proud and so impressed. She was just perfectly in her element. She just guided 25 people through this hugely emotional, transformational experience. Multiple people were like, "Yeah, my father who just passed came to me." Strangers were like hugging and crying afterwards because they just had this shared experience. And like, to see all these people shift and like find something, and like, was
Gosh.
just the most beautiful thing. And
that's my
yeah.
favorite. My
Oh,
favorite is the group, is the
I can't.
community aspect to healing
I
because
can't
we each
imagine. I just want to be around the energy that was created in that space.
Yeah,
yeah,
Just like, oh,
yeah,
it was so powerful. And yeah, like, it's just so, I guess my point in saying that too is, yes, to laud Cassidy, but like, it's just so beautiful to see somebody, especially somebody you love, but anybody, like, do something that they're called to do, that you're like, oh yeah, that's what you were made for. Oh yeah, that's why
yeah.
you're here.
It's funny. I had that moment when I took Cassidy's class. and I took it because
Mm.
there's
Yoga?
Yoga.
yeah, I took a plain old regular yoga class from Cassidy, and I went in like this will be great, and it's something I was having a wonderful week, and I was really exploring everything, etc., and becoming a better person, and I got to go, and there was a moment in the class, it was a cadence or tone that she did when she was even just saying something, and I was like, why have I never experienced this in any other yoga class? And I just immediately thought like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be. And it just made sense and it was perfect and it felt natural and it was to me I ex- I just I expected it, but I didn't expect that level of whatever came out of your voice and your energy that just felt like pure love.
Mm,
Mm.
And it was beautiful. You have an energy that's
mm,
so pure and loving, and you can feel it in everything you do. So it's wonderful that you found your ability to help people. Cause oh my goodness, yeah, I already experienced it. It was just supposed to be just going to a yoga class.
mm.
That's so
You
cool.
guys, thank you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's awesome. And yeah, so this week, between this episode and the next one, Cassidy's gonna lead Jeffrey through a breathwork session and he'll tell us about it on the next episode. And I'm so excited for you. Like anybody who has the chance to experience this, I'm so excited for. And yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to do anything, Jeffrey J. You just come as you are. That's my only one item for preparation is to literally come as you are. Don't try to change anything. Don't try to figure it out.
Mhm.
Because yeah, I go in, with certain things that I want to breathe about and come out on a whole different side of things that I didn't even know
Yeah.
I needed to address.
Yeah, that's exciting. And I think the only thing I'll do to prepare is tell myself to just be open and okay with doing things wrong. Because the one thing I will say is that I have been told before, like, yeah, you did all the steps perfectly. Like, and because, like, I in rehab, for instance, which is a place that
Mm.
I went, and there was a moment where they were like, "Yeah, you did all the steps perfectly," but did that mean that I was exactly getting what I needed out of it?
Mm.
Nope, I
Mm.
just wanted to make sure I did all the things like this is what you do for success.
Right.
And I focused on that instead of being like, "No, be okay with screwing up.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's
Mhm.
okay to is this what breath is? Is it am I going deep enough? Is this a bad sign that I can only breathe in? But because I'll catch myself, Cassie will be like, breathe in, now breathe in more, and I'm like, I was already at the end.
Right. Yeah, I do that same stuff too, dude. Don't worry about any of that. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter. I do
Yeah.
the same
yeah.
same thing, man.
She'll go like all the way in. Now take a sip, and I'm like,
I know. There's no more sips.
it's overflowing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah.
And
Don't
that
worry about that.
but that's what's so important too that I always really encourage and make sure to underline, you are in control of your own body, you are in choice. Again, it's coming back and reclaiming your sovereignty and understanding that anything that anyone ever tells you, even an instructor in yoga, or myself as a breathwork facilitator, whoever, a shaman, it's all an invitation.
Mm.
It's just an invitation. It's
Hmm.
not an order.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mm.
And trust yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, well, this is exciting, and I am so grateful to your children and for you
That's good.
guys for giving them the proper dose of NyQuil.
That's right.
Uh,
That's right.
'Cause
It's Z-Quil. We're not monsters.
yeah, yeah, they
Okay.
like it better because it's purple.
Yeah. Um,
Um,
Oh, and thank you, Jeffrey. And thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. Please, if you enjoy it, let us know. Let your friends know. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Anything that you think somebody might get something out of. We are so happy to be doing this. So grateful to be of service in any small way. whether it's making you chuckle about Han-Jos or inspiring you to do your own breath work. And if you do, hit up Cassidy.
Yeah, let
Yeah.
us know. And even if, maybe you have somebody that you recommend as well, right?
Mhm.
I want to breathe too, you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That being
But,
said, do you want to send us out on a moment of gratitude, Cassidy?
Yeah, let's do that.
Before we do that,
Yeah.
at
Okay.
Hippie Dippy Show on Instagram and Hippie Dippy Show at gmail.com. HIPPIE.
Yeah. Let us know what touched you and, or if you have something to share or to talk about too, We're all having experiences right now and we're curious about yours.
Totally, totally. Yeah.
So let's take a deep breath. Fill up, and this time today, let's place a hand, one hand on the belly, so that can be just above the navel, and then one hand on your heart. And it doesn't matter which one. It doesn't matter which one goes where, just as long as you're touching your being here. So as you are breathing in, that bottom hand presses away, and then as you complete that cycle of inhale, the top hand begins to rise as well, and then exhale, open mouth, let it all out. Good. Tap into one thing that you're grateful for here and now. Maybe that's the opportunity to set any thoughts aside and simply listen, receive, and laugh. Maybe that's a person, a place, or a thing. It could be your health, your vitality. And then, as always, I invite you to take the sensation of peace. Note that you are in control, you are in choice of your own emotions, of your life, of your experience. And then allow a smile to grace your lips. Healing doesn't have to be so serious. Neither does meditation or breath work. So come with the light, okay? And open your eyes if they're closed. And share that smile with us. Take a picture of yourself, post show picture of yourself. Maybe you're crying, maybe you're laughing, whatever is coming up, share it with us. We love that. We're eager to listen, we're eager to receive and to reciprocate.
All right. Bye, you guys. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.